let's see who's going to come on and join us. We've got a bit of a delay on the Zoom. As I'm looking at it, it's quite a big delay from the time that I'm. I don't
see. So yeah, I'm
hey,
like, oh my gosh.
Hi, how you doing? Hi, Champagne Sea. Hello. How are we? Sorry, I've been missing. I think about 3 weeks since I went live.
How are you? I'm still trying to figure out my screen here for a minute. Sorry. Okay, there. No, almost.
I just want to make sure that I'm coming over.
Goodness, I did something.
Hello, hi. Thank you for joining us. Welcome,
anyways,
welcome.
Hi, Ransom. How are you? Just bear with me for a minute. I closed my webinar. Okay, there we go.
Hey, Sally. Sally from Bournemouth. Hello, darling. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome to our live little chat.
So yeah, I'm so glad. Well, happy Sunday, Julie, and you look nice and tan there. That's beautiful. I'm jealous. I'm all pale.
Yeah, I got back from Spain on about 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Maris. Hello.
Hi, Sandra.
Yeah, it wasn't boiling, but it was warm enough. So I was able to get some vitamin D and some colour, and it was lovely. So hi, Truth Source. He's saying, I do have recurring dreams sometimes. Wonder if they relate to past lives. Okay. Good day, Mr. Brown 3. Hi, Unite Planet. So the plan is tonight, guys, to talk for about an hour about past lives and answer your questions and just have a chat about it. I'm not going to be doing any psychic work today because, unfortunately, I have got a raging temperature and I'm not feeling very well. But I wanted to do this because I haven't spoken to you for ages. So I can chat, but I can't tune in when I don't feel too well. But thank you very much.
Sandra says hello to you, Julie. And
hi, Sandra.
DJ Ransom says, wow, is the past life over? Is this life or the next?
Hey, what? Say again.
Oh, hi, Seven Serpents. And Seven Serpents is also saying hi to you, Julie.
Hi, Seven Serpents.
Hi, Deborah. Well, welcome, everyone. So I wanted to have Julie on because she knows her stuff. And I'm very curious about the past life stuff. And I decided to do a series, Julie, because I'm in a search or finding out as much as information as I can. For me to tap into my past life. I don't know how to do it, but I would love to do that. And I know you talked about this before, that sometimes when people do their own past life regression, sometimes I don't know if I don't want to say it's hard, but sometimes there's some kind of trauma that happened and that is better if you do it with someone that knows how to.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have to be careful with this stuff. I mean, I took it off my website a few years ago, but, you know, I am a qualified, I've got a diploma in past life regression. There are a lot of people who do it, who are psychic, who are mediums, and because they can access a past life, they do. But they haven't necessarily got the training to deal with any trauma that they may find. And so, you know, I'd like to, for people to be a little bit careful, but you don't need to fear it. What we need to do is set the intention. And it's all about setting the intention. So if your intention is, I would like to explore some of my past lives and just find out who I was in a previous life, what connections I've had in a previous life with maybe some of the people in my life now. And that this is the bit, okay, that I want to do this to enhance my knowledge. All right. So we want a gentle awareness awakening, not a big healing thing. Okay, so as long as you set that intention, you're absolutely good to go. You're absolutely fine to do it within a meditation. If you want to dip into any past traumas, then I would absolutely say do it with an expert, do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. I've unraveled all sorts of things in past lives that we need to, when we find it, the trauma, have to heal it before we bring you back. Otherwise, what happens is you're tapping into old traumas and bringing them back into this lifetime, and not being funny, we've got enough shit to deal with in this lifetime without tapping into past ones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it's only go into the healing if we're going to heal it, neutralize it, then we can come back. Great. So it's fine to do it within a meditation, but you do need to go deep to be able to access it, and you need to go through your soul, because it's the soul will guide you, okay, rather than your inner being, because your inner being is part of this lifetime. Your soul can access your higher self and then take you into past lifetimes.
Wow, that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, Patty is asking, is a birthmark trauma from past life?
Oh my God. I want to say something, Julie. It's so funny that she says that. She asked you that because on my first show about past lives, we kind of discussed this, the birthmarks. And I was actually going to ask you, so that's great. She got that. So yeah, I'm curious to know that answer.
I haven't come across it specifically about birthmarks. So my feeling is no. The thing is with this stuff, the questions that you ask, there isn't really a definitive truth or untruth. It's more about what feels right, because, you know, there are past lives where you can actually have evidence. You can go into a date and a time and a place, and you can go and look at records for, for that lifetime and be able to evidence it. But it's really not about that. I don't see the purpose in that. It's more about, if you've got fears and issues in this lifetime that are to do with this lifetime, then you would heal them, you know. Well, some do. That's what we want. We want to be able to heal those by seeing therapists or counselors or different types of alternative therapists. And it's just the same if you've got trauma in a past life, it can be affecting you now. If you have, I mean, I certainly didn't like heights, for example. I've never liked heights. So I just tapped into, asked my soul to show me lifetimes where I have fallen to my death from a height so that I could neutralize them. And the intention was to neutralize them. And it was like watching a clip after clip after clip. I saw myself in 20 different lifetimes falling to my death in all sorts of different ways. And just being able to neutralize those. And I wouldn't say my fear of heights is gone, but it's vastly reduced. So I don't have a complete breakdown when I'm up somewhere high now. But I can go places that I wouldn't have been able to go before. Let's see it up. Patty's asking, same injuries in this life to same leg. It can be. What I tend to find is that you may have a bad back or particularly suffer in one place. And when I go into a past life, I'll see arrows sticking out of your back and we're pulling them out. I might see a dagger where you've been stabbed in the back. We're pulling that out. And the same with the leg. Morning, Anya. That, you know, anywhere in the body, if you've got a particular issue in the body, it can be from a past life injury, and you can heal it because there is only the now. So don't worry about the time. You know, there's past and there's forward, there's future life progression as well. You can go and look at future lives too, you know.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's called future life progression. It's Anna, is it? I do apologize. So Indigo Guardian Angel saying, from my shamanic journeys, past life traumas continue to be held in your subconscious until it's healed. I agree. For example, I've lost a child in a past life and carry this fear into this life. We do get that. It can often be the root cause for obesity. Obesity is generally, they always look in this lifetime first, always, okay? And we heal that first. But if it is still there, then we go back. And I have found lifetimes for clients where they had starved to death and their children had starved to death. And we've all had starvation lifetimes, okay? And so if that is particularly in your memory, in this lifetime where we're not starving and we've got an overabundance of food, it's a bit like a dog, you know, that they will just keep eating and eating because they don't know when they're going to get fed again. And that when we've healed that, that trauma of the starvation from past lives, then it's much easier to tackle the obesity in this lifetime. So
I have a question, Julie. So can you explain me what's the difference? I mean, well, yeah, what's the difference between a past life and a parallel life, and how it differs, or I don't know.
Okay. So if we imagine that we are one of a group of 12 souls, so there are 11 others and us, okay? So there's me and 11 others. And we have traveled through many lifetimes, and the lifetime that we've had in the past is a past life. However, we can divert over to the side and have a parallel life. So we might often have a dream where we're hugely successful in another lifetime and we're not. And it seems today's age, the modern age, it doesn't seem the past or the future, it seems the now. This can be a parallel life. So it's really about going into the time continuum. And it's very complicated, but it's basically, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future, there is only the now. So I imagine time, instead of it being linear, 1000 BC there and 10,000 AD there in a line, imagine it more as a circle, a flat horizontal circle, and you can move on that line. And it's not really past or future, it's just a different now. It's just a different experience of a different now, but there's only now.
Wow. Okay.
Does that make sense? It's very complicated.
Yes.
When I was reading this stuff, I was
you explain it very well. So you were saying, like, for example, me, that I'm really want to find out about my past lives. I feel like I have kind of like an idea just for the facts, just for the things that I'm really drawn to, and I've been drawn to since I was little.
Yeah.
But the best, what you were saying, is to do like a past life meditation.
Yeah.
And set the intention, right? And then
what you're doing there is you're linking in with past skills. We're very easy to jump on the past traumas and the things that need healing, but we can also jump into past skills, past strengths, past intelligence. We can, for those of us who struggle with loving in this lifetime, there will be lifetimes where we have been desperately in love and being loved back in return. And if we can tap back into that lifetime, just to remember what it feels like, we can bring that into this lifetime and say, oh, actually, and that can help the blocks to love in this lifetime fall away, because we tend to defend ourselves. We've got many different defense mechanisms. And one of those is, I'm all right as I am. We don't want to think about that it might be better or it might be worse. We just go, I'm all right as I am. And if we can kind of feel that there's a block, you can go back and find it. So you're drawn to crystals. You've definitely had lifetimes where you were working with crystals. Many of us have. I would suggest all of us have, because those of us that are spiritually conscious, it's like every lifetime you're waking up more and more. Every lifetime you're gaining in light and love, and your spiritual connection gets stronger and stronger. So generally, in my experience, the people who are drawn to these kind of channels are already highly developed spiritually and psychically. So you will have had lifetimes of crystals and herbs and healing and all sorts of things like that, and you can tap back into it.
That's great. Okay, well, I will definitely be trying like I said, I want to tap into that. So
Breaking Dawn, Deborah L. Smith is saying, what if it's not so much a flat circle but a coiling of times? Yes, it can be. The time continuum kind of comes back on itself. You can dip in and out. So just imagine the circle, and imagine if it's a coil, if it's a vortex, if it's a flat line, and just go, asking your soul, your higher self, to take me to where I can be of most benefit to my current lifetime, to my current energy. The stones remember you as you walk the ground. I believe that too. And I believe the trees do too. I mean, some of the trees are hundreds of years old, and we will have known those trees before. Anna's saying, if you haven't finished a task in a past life, you can finish it now, and you're driven to finish it. Yes, that's true too. And when we're coming to our last lives, and it does come to a point where on this planet we get to the last life, that we tend to be tying up loose ends, tying up loose threads.
Whatever was left undone, you get it done this lifetime, I guess.
Yes, yeah. Because you can't ascend while there's still stuff hanging around. So everything has to be tie up.
No baggage, ends. Right?
No baggage. No baggage. Yeah.
I see. If anybody has a question on my chat, please feel free, and I will ask Julie. Hi, Free Wolf. What I was gonna ask you? Oh, you were saying about the fears of height. With me, I have this fear. I have two fears that I can say. I'm not as scared of heights, but I'm scared of free falling. Like, for example, I love roller coaster rides, but I will never see myself jumping on a bungee jump. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's free falling. If I'm sitting, holding on to something, I'm great. But if it's like free fall, no.
Yeah. See, this is past life links. That's past life links, because you're waiting to hit the bottom. All right. So basically the way to get over it is you can do a past life regression to clear it, or you go and do a bungee jump. And every time you hit the bottom and go back up and you're not splattered, you are telling yourself, see, I'm not dead. See, I'm not dead. See, I'm okay. And what you're doing is you're neutralizing that old fear, okay? Because, mine, I had one in New York City. It was definitely New York. I've never been there, but I knew it was New York in the 1920s. And I was building one of the skyscrapers and fell off. Foot splat. Okay, it's not the falling, is it? It's the hitting the ground that bothers us. So, sorry.
No, you're good, Julie.
Yeah, I got a bit of chest thing. I'll do some healing later. It'll be fine. Thank you. You've got a fear of heights and drowning. Now, yeah, we will have been drowned over and over and over. Let's have a think about, if we just go back a couple of 100 years, there were many ships trekking around the world, populating the world. Nobody could swim. The sailors couldn't swim, and ships were forever going down. Pirate ships and merchant ships, and everything was taken by sea, and storms would come, and we've been drowned several times. I had one client who was on the Titanic and clearly remembered it going down with her two children. And she said what was lovely, that there was immense fear, building and building and building, until you came into a sense of acceptance just at the end. And there was this peace that came, and then duff. So yeah, we've all been drowned. We've all fallen to our death. One of mine, I was about 7 years old, up very high trees, knocking the fruit down for the village. You know, little boy traveling up a tree to knock the fruit down, slipped and fell, splat. We're going to have lifetimes like this, loads and loads of arrows, because this was our weapon of choice for thousands of years, all over the world, was bow and arrow. And so, you know, I had several sessions where I was pulling arrows out of my leg, out of my back. And I've also been burnt at the stake about 5 times. And I didn't like that. I had a real thing about fire and burning. So I've neutralized those, and now I'm okay with it. But also the guillotine and chopping the head off, not necessarily the guillotine, but they used to use the big axe, the big, sword, so decapitation. We have all these lifetimes that we've had, they have to end. We don't always die of old age peacefully in somebody's arms, so we need to get it in context with the time at the time, in the era, in that time space.
Seven Serpents ask, what about paying for the karma of past lives?
Okay, it's not so much paying, it's more about balancing. You know, I think when I first came into this about 40 years ago, there was this thing about, you know, that you it's more of a punishment. You do wrong, you're going to get punished back. But it's more about balancing, to understand. It's about growing in understanding and awareness. So the mistakes that we make are usually because, unless you're a complete psychopath, most of us make mistakes unaware and not deliberately, and we're not aware of the impact and the damage that we're causing. So we may then be on the receiving end of that, so that we can understand the damage, not as a punishment, but as a, you know, this is the way to learn that what it's like when you do that to somebody else. So yeah, they can kind of come back to us like that.
Sandra says law of cause and effect.
Yeah, cause and effect, absolutely. What goes around comes around. And Indigo is saying you also incarnate with your soul family to learn certain lessons. And this is true too. And this is where we will, within our soul group, we won't all be alive at the same time in the same place. We may span a 200-year period. So we might be born as a baby when one of our soul group is an old lady on her way out, and we share the information. We can also have part of our soul group in different cultures at different times. So where you have, for example, a real desire to be a ballet dancer, but you've never done ballet, you've never had ballet lessons, but you have a real love of ballet, it's very probable that one of your soul group is a ballerina somewhere, and you are, called a bleed through. It's a bleed through of the love, and also sometimes the fear. So some of our traumas sometimes are not ours, they're a bleed through from one of our soul group. But again, always start with you, and then work outwards. Yeah.
Yes. This subject, the more I talk to you and people about this, it goes really deep, right?
It does.
This subject. Sandra is asking, what's Julie's perspective on soul versus spirit?
To me, it's the soul. I mean, really, it's about a word. It's semantics, isn't it? Spirit, we tend to think of as, excuse the word, but ghosts, you know. And so they are still having some of the energy of the lifetime and some of the personality of the lifetime. Your soul, there's not a lot in it, you know, there's really not. I think it's that we talk about for years, you know, for hundreds of years, we'll sort of say their spirit left their body. It's the essence of them. It's their inner being. You know, when I'm doing my readings and stuff, I always say, you know, connect with your inner self, your inner being. That's our essence, if you like, our soul source essence, our spirit essence, and that does leave the body, because the body is just housing the soul. It's a vehicle for the soul and a vehicle for our personality too. It's not just the soul, it's us and the soul co-cohabiting this physical body that then dies and goes back to the earth, and the soul goes on and then on into the next lifetime. But we need this veil that you call it. You can use different words, it doesn't matter, but there is a veil where you don't remember the past life. Because if you just think about it for a moment, you know, let's imagine you were married and you were very happy and you had children, and you die and you go into the new life and you remember your husband or wife and your children. You wouldn't be able to fall in love again because your heart is still with somebody else. You would feel constantly bereaved. You would feel constantly a sense of loss. And so we need this veil. And there are stories, and, you know, I think they're not stories, they are accounts of children 3 and 4 years old who can remember exactly their lifetime and tell you where they were born, what they were doing. And it is rare because it's very painful for that child and very confusing too. Very confusing, but it happens enough. And I believe, my personal opinion, and it is only personal opinion, is that those are handpicked in order to, those souls handpicked in order to share and inform and teach others that there is past life, you know. I mean, Christianity is about I think it's the only religion that doesn't believe in past lives. We are in the minority because I think
right, past lives is right, the reincarnation.
Yeah.
That's a no. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes against the Bible. My beliefs are that it was in there and then it was all taken out in the 4th century when the Bible was completely manipulated and rewritten.
Yeah. Seven Serpent asks, does Julie believe we incarnate only as humans or animals, plants, minerals also?
I personally believe that we only incarnate as humans. In this lifetime. I think our teachers can very often be the animals, and there is an essence within everything, even a stone, but certainly animals and plants have their own energy field and essence. But I don't believe that we come back as an insect. We evolve upwards rather than backwards. But then saying that, some animals I think are far more evolved than we are, like the dolphins and the whales. But yeah, I agree, Anya. Christianity had Jesus raised from the dead. But yeah, it's but that was only allowed to be Jesus. You know, the Bible. We won't get into that conversation because I've got quite strong views about the Bible. May offend people, which is not my intention. So let's just stay with past life.
Actually, that will be perfect for Gary's question. Gary Baxter asked, if someone is doing something unintentionally, but it turns out to be terrible, do they get really, really bad karma, or will karma reflect the intention of the offender?
It goes back to what I'm saying, that if we're not aware of the impact, we would then perhaps be on the receiving end of it, so that we have that awareness. All right. So it's not so much a punishment, but we need to be aware. Very often we can learn from watching others. We do learn by copying, but it's really our own experiences that teach us the most. And so where we have been cruel and caused massive impact on people, then people may be cruel back to us, and we're kind of, wow, it's a cruel world. And it's then, what do you do with it? Do you then grow in that awareness and it neutralizes it and you become more compassionate, or do you become bitter and twisted? There is always a choice, and we're back to free will.
Yes. I had a good question earlier when you were talking about...
Oh, you're not offending, Anna. You're not offending. So Anna's just saying, I didn't mean to offend, just making a comparison. Sorry, you're not offending. I was saying that I would be concerned about offending people because my views on the Bible are so negative. So I was saying I might offend. You haven't offended. All right, my lovely. Okay. All right. Any more questions?
How Deb Star asks, how do you let go of someone who doesn't want to go? Hope that is not a silly question.
It's not a silly question. Are we talking about somebody alive, or are we talking about a spirit that doesn't want to go? Because there's a big difference on how to handle it.
I remember the question I was going to ask you. Okay, so what is the connection between past lives and soulmates or twin flames? Or for example, you were saying about the husband. Let's say, can it be like in my past life I could be married to the same person that I'm married now, or the same soul, or I don't know, it gets complicated.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have, it comes down to opinions, because as I said at the beginning, there is no proof of anything. You can only go with what feels right for you, and what you receive yourself. So I personally do not believe or buy into twin flames. I think it's disempowering. It's basically saying that you're half of an essence and the other half is somewhere else, and you can't be fully whole until you're reunited. I think it's disempowering, and to me it goes against the free dominion that we have, and that we're here to know our own power and our own strength. I think it's something that was thought up by people who feel very lost in life and come up with quite a plausible explanation. That's why I'm lost, because my other half isn't with me. So much personal opinion.
That's just an excuse.
I believe so, but it's a very personal opinion, and I know within the spiritual conscious community there are many people who do believe in twin flames. I don't. I think it's rubbish, but that's very much a personal opinion. In terms of being married to the same people before, yes, we can reincarnate together again, and we can go into different roles. All right. I think somebody said earlier, I forget who it was, sorry, that said it's a little bit like a play, a film with actors playing different roles. So, you know, you might be somebody's mother this time and then somebody's daughter next time, and it's the same person. I know, for example, my middle child, my son, was my big brother in a previous life. I think I've said that before. I have a hell of a job controlling him when he was little, because he wanted to tell me what to do. Because he was my big brother. Yeah. We can have, you know, our husband can be our father in a previous life and our child in the next. So it very much, you kind of know, if you look around you at your close, well, actually all of them, look at your children and your aunts and uncles and grandparents, and there will always be one or two that you have a particular bond with, and an inner, deeper knowing, and there's no particular reason for it. And this is usually a soul connection. It's part of your soul group, or you have been together before. And I believe that that is the explanation for love at first sight, that you've been in love before and you re-meet them in this lifetime and you know instantly. And that's what love at first sight is about. But equally, hate at first sight. When you meet somebody and you absolutely can't stand them, won't trust them, you've got absolutely no reason to feel like that about them, but you just feel repulsed, want to pull away. And other people you want to pull to. So friends are very often sisters or mothers.
Intuition has a lot to do with that, right? Because I guess your intuition, your inner being knows that person, or it feels familiar, or it doesn't feel familiar, or...
Well, your intuition is your soul. That's what it is. So when you are saying, you know, my instincts or my intuition is telling me this, it's your soul. And it's going, oi, we know each other. Go and give them a hug. You know?
Yeah. The question earlier about Deb Start, it was about family. How do you let go of someone who doesn't want to go? And it was regarding family.
Okay. All right. So what, as in spirit, that they don't want to go, or a husband that doesn't want to leave? You know, either way, all right, let's just pull it together and say either way, if they are alive or if they have passed on, this is your life, your space, your decision and your power. And whether they are dead or alive, when you say go, then, and you mean it, then they will go. And if they don't go, then you take action. So if I had a member of my family that I've told to leave me alone and they didn't leave me alone, I would change my phone number and I would just keep blocking them and ignoring them until they got the message. If this is a spirit who won't leave you alone, then I will just step into my God power. And yeah, you step into your God power and you say 3 times, I command. Yeah, there's various words that you can use, but I am commanding in the name of love, God, Jesus, whatever you want to use, doesn't matter, to leave this place now. But you have to believe it. If you kind of go, I command you to go, I think, ooh, then you're not in your power and they probably won't go.
Yes, you have to be firm, just like...
Yeah. So I've done clearance work and I've done soul rescue work and I've done release work. So those are basically helping a spirit to move on who's stuck, a little bit like the film Ghost. I thought that was pretty accurate, apart from the hell bit, because there's no hell. But yeah, very often we don't realize we're dead, and that the soul, the spirit is hanging around quite confused, and you can help. I don't do this work anymore. There are many people that do, to help that spirit find the light, to go to where they need to go to.
Very interesting. Hello, Pisces. Hello, Cosmic Christy. Do you have any questions on your chat?
I'm just reading them. a little bit of conversation about helping spirits to release, about the Bible teaching us to fear death. Completely agree. I have no fear of death. I'm looking forward to going home. To me, I'm going to heaven. I'm going to my sense of bliss, my sense of perfect peace and bliss. Why would I fear that? I'm excited to go home. I'm sad to leave my loved ones behind, but I have no fear of death whatsoever. So Indigo is saying she's had many lifetimes with a husband and soulmate. Yeah. But at the end of the day, sometimes two heads are better than one. And when you come together, you can be of more power and more good to keep doing it together. And other times it can be a bit diluted that you need to be on your own. So we have these different lifetimes and we're not always going to be together in them. What other questions have you got on your end?
Free Wolf asks, does me feeling out of place, like I'm not supposed to be here, have anything to do with reincarnation?
Sometimes, yes. Not always. Again, always start with what's going on in this lifetime. There are many of us who feel that we don't want to be here, we don't want to be alive, life's too hard, I want to go home. Always check there first. But there are many souls who didn't want to come back this time, you know. So we have a review, and again, this is a personal opinion. We have a review between each lifetimes, a place between lifetimes, when we review what we've learned so far, and then we kind of plan the next lifetime of what we want to, you know, achieve this time. And maybe we've coming back to karma here, maybe we've caused a lot of pain and hurt, and you know, the soul wants us to come and be on the receiving end of that in order to neutralize and balance it and increase the awareness and compassion. And we come in kicking and screaming because we know it's going to be a hard one and we don't want it. And these are often the babies that have forceps deliveries because they don't want to come out. They're like, no, leave me in here. I don't want to come out.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah. Cosmic Christie asks, we don't have to die in this life to be reborn. This is the new energy.
Yeah, I agree. It's what born again Christians would say happens after a baptism, but it can happen to many people after a rebirth. Spiritual, conscious people who go into a deep meditative trance and go through a rebirth. Many of them go through this purging thing first, which I don't feel is necessary. I think it's very damaging to the physical body. But again, it's about belief systems. You know, that the body, the soul absolutely loves the body because it can't be here without the body. So the soul would never want you to do anything that hurts the body. But I know that some people do this whole purge thing. They're incredibly ill and then they do a rebirth and they feel then that they have you know, had a rebirth, but it's the same soul. It's the same essence. Thing. Yeah. Then there are things like walk-ins, which again, I'm not 100% sure if I believe this to be so. I kind of feel that it does feel right, but it's rare. So walk-in is that your soul says, I can't do this. I know I agreed to do 73.2 years and I've got to 40 and I just can't do it. Beam me up, Scotty, get me out of here. And another soul, because there are still lessons to learn in that lifetime, another one of the soul group will step in and that soul can go home. And this is called walk-in.
I heard about that term.
Yeah, and the family will notice differences because it's a different soul. And obviously they come kind of pre-programmed with all your experiences, but they are slightly different. So people will say it's like I woke up married to a stranger. I don't know where my wife went. It's rare again, but I think it does happen.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Okay.
I wonder if I'm not. Smurfit says, I wonder if I'm not awoken, truly switched at 14.
Okay, it can happen. It can happen just in your sleep, and it can happen during a near-death experience, a car accident or something like that, an operation, and one goes out and one comes in. Yeah, I say maybe if you think you're not reborn, then it's important to work on your personal shadow to cleanse. yeah, I mean, yeah, we all have. It's balance, it's polarities. We have contrast, we have light, and we have dark. We have the moon, we have the sun. Everything is on those different balances, and it's saying which they're equally important. We need to sometimes withdraw and go into our own space. Other times we need to come forward. And it's the same in other lifetimes too.
Yes. Cosmic Christie says, not religious, spiritual being having a human experience. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So another question I have, well, I already asked you this question, but what is just your suggestion to do a past life regression? Just listen to some.
You can do. You can just listen to any kind of meditation music or binaural beats or high vibrational music, or just sit quietly in nature. I've done a lot of my past life regression when I've been sat under a tree, just contemplating, and I just feel that I'm going into that past life. The most important thing is that you would have grounded and protected and connected, and you set the intention. So you set the intention to revisit a past life if there is a purpose, and your soul to guide you to where you need to go. And they won't go linear, so they won't go the last one and then the one before and the one before. You'll just suddenly jump to one, maybe 8 ago, that there is something you need to know, that will help you to know, or there is something to heal, or there is somebody in your life now that you were with before, and it just wants you to show you that connection. And you can just do that by going into a normal meditative space. But you set the intention that this is to be a gentle visit to a past life for what? For higher awareness, for higher consciousness, for higher compassion, for expanded love, for expanded awareness. But don't go to heal my trauma, okay? Because if you've got a real thing about sharks and you decide, I know, I'll go and find a past life when my leg was bitten off by a shark, I wouldn't suggest doing that.
Yeah, that could be kind of traumatic.
Yeah. So anything like that, if you do feel that there are those bits, that's the sort of thing I would do in a hypnosis or a meditation session with you. And anything that we find, we will neutralize. We'll bring the awareness, we'll bring the understanding, and then we neutralize all the trauma. And you come back with the awareness, but without the pain. And you also find that you are more compassionate. It does definitely expand your consciousness and your love and your light. I think it's, I've done loads of past life regressions on me, and I've visited many, many lifetimes. And I can tell you that in none of them was I anybody famous, or because I do laugh, I was Cleopatra in a past life. No, you weren't, mate. Just,
yeah,
a bit of attention. You're more likely to be a peasant, or I was a Roman soldier and I was at the crucifixion, but I was one of the Roman soldiers, and that's why I've got a bit of a relationship with Jesus, but I see him as a teacher. I think the highest sort of lifetime I've had many lifetimes where I've been kind of high priestess, like a psychic guru of the day, when the Greeks and the many different cultures would have their seer. And equally, I've been a peasant and I've been nobody, so that's the sort of your average lifetime. And
one thing that I did not know is that, if you're a female in this right now, it doesn't mean that you were always a female. You could have been a man.
And you need to be aware as well that you will be male and female. You'll be black and white. You will be poor and rich. You will be murderer and murderess, murdered person. You will have experienced it all. And so when you accept that, you will be the victim and the perpetrator, and you will be gay and straight. You will be have been everything, and it's part of those experiences that bring us to who we are now. But we judge, we judge the behavior. I had one lifetime when I was a tribal chief in Scotland, and I was a fat ginger man, and we were regularly going off raping and pillaging and burning villages, and I was horrified watching this. And it's like, woohoo, how many slaves have we brought back now? But it was 640 AD, and that was normal in the time. And it lets you get rid of all of that judgment, and to understand that we need to get in context of the time.
Right. Kind of like, I guess the spirit or the soul or whatever you want to call it needs to have those experiences to be able to relate or to be able to learn. And I guess it's all about learning. And ascending. It's
also about transcending what's on the surface. So, for example, just about everywhere in the world over all time, the males have the power and the females don't. And so when you have a lifetime as a man, you will have more power than a lifetime as a woman. And so it's basically kind of saying, right, well, when I'm a man, I feel powerful as a man, but do I feel powerful as a person? So they may be born into a male body, but they're learning to be powerful as a person without abusing power. And then women learning to be powerful despite the fact that they are in a women's body and they have no status and no rights we certainly didn't until this century. And that's only in half of the world. The other half still hasn't. So we need to understand this whole power play is very much part of it. Excuse me. So that's all part of our growth. It's all part of our learning.
Yeah. Gary Baxter says, "This is your famous life, Julie. We all love you."
Thank you, Gary. Bless. Oh, dear.
Vibration is one thing, but allowance is another.
What was that?
Pisces says, vibration is one thing, but allowance is another.
Yes. Yeah. So everything is a vibration, and we can resist it or we can embrace it. So what we resist persists, and the vibration can feel uncomfortable because we're pushing against it. But when we allow it, then we get this acceptance and a oneness. So, for example, when I saw that lifetime, when, I saw the damage that I was ordering people to do, and I was like, oh, my God, that's really bad. But then I realized as that came through that lifetime, that was very normal in that time. And so I came into an acceptance and then a oneness with it. And so what I realized at the end of that lifetime, as that soul left, because when you do a past life regression, what you do, so this is the detail, if you like, you go into that life where there is something that needs to be understood. And then you go through the lifetime to the end till you die. And then you go up to the light. As you go to the light, the soul, when it leaves the body, fully understands everything that has been experienced. And the reason I was taken from that lifetime was the soul, as it left the body, was holding guilt for having killed, murdered, and raped and pillaged so many hundreds of people. So that was the healing I needed to do on that life, was to release that guilt, to come into an acceptance, for the soul to forgive itself and then realize there's nothing to forgive, that it was just experiences in that time and in that appropriateness of that time. And the soul came into acceptance and the vibration changed. All right, there's a vibration of acceptance and there's a vibration of denial or anger or blame or judgment. What we want to do is shift the vibration over into acceptance. And then we have, it's just easy. It's easy.
Yeah, wow. Are the past life regression just files of the Akashic record?
Yeah, you can do. I've seen the Akashic records and I've met with the Lords of Karma, and they are pretty formidable beings. You can go and ask to see the Akashic records. You need to go, well, in my experience, I was told that I needed permission from the Lords of karma. So I did a out-of-body meditation when I left and rose up into my soul energy, up to the lords of karma. And then I was taken and shown my Akashic records, and I was able to neutralize some of them and others to bring forward, as in not meant to do it for 30 years, let's do it now and get it done. And you can do that. You can speed things up again, because again, there's no time. There's only our concept of time. So if that was meant to be, you know, in another lifetime. So, for example, I remember asking some years ago when I was in a meeting with the Lords of Karma why I'd had so many challenges in this lifetime, basically a god-awful life. And they said, you chose it because we said that all the things you needed to wrap up, there were 3, that would take 3 lifetimes. And you said, no, I don't want to be down there 3 more times. Let's just wrap it up in 1. And they said it would be too hard. It would be too painful, too traumatic, too difficult to complete everything that needs to be done in 1 lifetime. And when I was having this meeting with them, they were stood there with their arms folded. They were going, but no, you knew best. You insisted. Let's just go on with that.
That was your one. Your will.
So this isn't my last one. I've got one left, apparently. So, but that's if I don't stuff it up. If I stuff this one up, then I might have 2 or 3 left. You know, it's sort of based on where you
piles up.
You know, yeah.
Wow, that's very neat.
Okay. So Indigo's saying, souls eventually learn. I treat combat vets at the VA. When a human kills, it kills themselves inside. Humans love. We are taught to kill. It's not our true nature. And there's lots of people agreeing with that. Who my soul has been.
Becky Taylor asks, so actually this will be me. This will be me. We have no free will.
No, we have the will because we
already choose our life to experience before we came.
No, we never ever lose our free will. It's universal law number 1. So first of all, the soul chooses the lifetime and the lessons they want to have, the experiences they want to have, and what needs to be finished off and rounded up. And so then the right parents are chosen, the right experiences along the line are planned, but it's not tablets of stone. So you can change it at any time. You can't change your parents once you're born, but you know, you can just decide, I'm not doing this anymore, and you can go a completely different route. So you always have free will. You can also check out early. That's what suicide is. I'm out of here. I don't care how many years I'm supposed to be here for. I've had enough. I'm going home. Okay, so there is always free will, always. You might meet a soulmate. You might bump into somebody and it's love at first sight, and this is the person you're supposed to marry and be with the rest of your life and have 3 children with. That's what your soul wanted. But you might decide, no, I'm not in the mood, and go the other way. All right, it's always your free will. It's never taken away. I think I was watching Lazarus 30 years ago, and he likened it to an architect designing a building. So you can design how many floors you want, and whether you want a big window there or a small window there, and you can kind of design that. And this is your life you're designing before you're born. But at any time, once you're down here, you can go, actually, what would you do with your house? You know, you would just go, right, I'm going to have an extension there, and I'm going to change the roof there, and I'm going to, change the garden. You can always change things, always. So never, ever feel that you can't. This is part of, if you think, right, universal law number 1 is free will. So if anything is taking away your power, that's your will. So it goes against who you are. It goes against your source energy, your God, goddess, all that is energy. So it's about saying, can I still be myself and be able to not be disempowered or lose my my sense of right and wrong? We know what feels right for us, but we can very easily be persuaded into something that isn't right for us, and it will inevitably go wrong until we learn that lesson. Listen to your inner being, listen to your intuition, your soul, your gut, listen to your heart.
Yes, I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
Your will is your direction, Pisces says.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And like anything, you can change direction. If I am in my car and I decide I'm going a different way, I just indicate and go a different way. And we can do that in this lifetime too. If you don't like your job, leave, get another one. If you don't like your partner, leave, get another one, you know. And I'm not advocating just run away from trouble, because part of our lesson is also about overcoming some of the challenges, and in order that we grow and strengthen. But other times it's to know where our boundaries are and say, this is too much, I'm off. Yeah.
Right. I guess it's all about recognizing and learning what really works for you and what doesn't, and follow your heart, like you said.
Yes.
And just for everybody, if everybody will be aware that we all have the free will,
yes,
that will give everybody such an empowerment to take charge of their life, or in charge, or I don't know.
Yeah, but it's the same with past lives too. You know, that I hear it from clients over and over and over. I can't do this. I wouldn't be allowed to. And my job is to help people see it's always their choice. They can choose to stay, they can choose to go. But don't feel that you're staying because you have to. You can choose to, but you always have choice. And it's the same with past lives. We can choose to go exploring past lives, and we can just choose to do it out of curiosity. And it can backfire. If we choose to do it to heal and grow, then I haven't seen that backfire. I've only ever seen it help. But I've also had many clients over the years who've been regressed by other people, and it's done so much damage, and they've come to me and I've had to undo the damage. So one person, for example, did a regression with a medium and saw that he was an alien, and a very strange alien, and it freaked him out, and he had nightmares for weeks and weeks and weeks until he came to see me, and I helped him come to terms with that, to help him to understand that we don't always have every life on planet Earth. Sometimes we're here for loads here, and then we evolve up to higher evolved planets whose beings don't look like us, I had to help him to, again, align with that lifetime and lose the fear. And then the nightmares stopped. And then we're good to go.
Yeah, Julie, one thing that I've been realizing more, and it came to my awareness really early when I started in this path, is that people in your profession, what you do, trying to help people, and mediums and all kinds of, in this area, it's a very sensitive thing that you have to be very cautious of what you say and what you don't say, because you can, like you were saying, that client that you had, he was more hurt than what he, wanted at the beginning. This is a serious thing, and it's not just just saying your opinion, and you don't know how much you're gonna affect that person, for the good or bad. But you just have to be very not open-minded, but what's the word? Aware of what you say.
Yeah. And protective, it's about set the intention that this is to help, not hurt. And the intention will carry you through.
Yeah. We are 5 minutes till the hour. So I was going to ask you, do you want to plug your all the services that you do, in case if someone is interested in working with you?
Thank you. Yeah, I think most people know anyway. So I'm a professional hypnotherapist and regressionist and psychic, but I'm not your average hypnotherapist. So because obviously I'm very connected, so I'm also work with the emotion code, with the energy, with the cellular structure. And I will dip in and out of past lives in a session anyway. So if I'm healing somebody and they've got a back problem, I may well see that there are arrows or knives in their back, and I'm pulling them out, and I'm working on an energy level and a cellular level. So it's much more of a holistic healing that's done under hypnotherapy, which is just a deep meditation, and it enables us to access and find all the deeper blocks and barriers in this lifetime and past lifetimes, and to be able to neutralize them so that we can become the best version of us. And that's what I do.
Yes, that's great. That's
I'm a
great,
Reiki
Julie.
master too, but I haven't done hands-on. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I do still teach Reiki, but I haven't done hands-on healing with Reiki for about 6 years because I just put it into the hypnotherapy. So I'm moving with angelic energy and Reiki energy and universal energy through the being to neutralize and balance and restore equilibrium. That's what I do.
Yeah, well, that's great. I absolutely love your work. You've done so much for so many people and you helped so many, including myself. So I recommend working with Julie 100%. You're a great lady.
Thank you. It's very kind. Thank you very much.
But do you want to say anything else in closing, Julie?
No, I was just to say, really, I planned on this being a couple of hours, but since I got back from Spain, I've been feeling quite unwell. So I said I did still want to go ahead, but only to do an hour because my energy is quite low. And I've got clients booked in this week. So my apologies for those of you who thought this was going to go on for 2 hours. That's me cutting it short, and I hope you understand.
Yes.
And I will hoping to do some next weekend over Easter, but it will depend what's happening with family.
Yes. And
yes, it does.
We've been missing you. Well, I'll speak for myself because I've been missing seeing your lives, but you've been doing a great job, and it helped me so much with your dailies and your monthlies. So thank you so much for doing that, and hope to see you on a live soon. Like you said, it depends on family because Eastern is right around the corner, and
it's Easter next weekend. So yeah, we've got the long weekend, and I will apply. Thank you, Breaking Dawn, saying I'm spot on with the cards. I will. I'm planning on doing something next weekend to do a live show, maybe some live readings. So I will let you know. So keep an eye. If you click the notifications, the little bell, you'll get notified anyway if I go live. But thank you for joining us on my channel and on Anna's channel. And thank you for
thank you, everyone.
I hope it's helped. All right.
Yes. Thank you. And will you come another time? Because like I was saying, this subject goes deep. We cannot cover everything in one sitting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, my loves. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye, you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Happy Sunday, you guys.